to The Experience Today, where we explore the fascinating intersections of psychology, the human experience, and American politics.
Good evening, good evening, Experience Today, listeners and friends and family of the show. I appreciate you. Like I always do, I gotta show love to everybody, especially my lovely co-host over there, down there in that good old county they call Martin, Miss Valerie Zinn. I wanna say a word or two, for everybody that's been, hanging in there as the mastermind behind the operation is going through these woes of said internet, and again, I don't have the Joe Byron internet or the Obama internet. It's just the internet, and it's just, it's just what it is, where it's at. Again, I appreciate y'all for hanging on as we're going through this trouble, this good stuff, and it's a blessing, first of all, to be able to have done this for, if I can't count that high anymore, 6 years. We've been at this, and it's a blessing that all of you keep coming back Tuesday after Tuesday after Tuesday after Tuesday, and I can't be more grateful. I cannot be more grateful for that. And I know Miss Valerie, I know she I think she feels the same way. If not, she'll tell me different, but she can say her own words too if she doesn't mind.
Oh no, I've had a rough year. I had that surgery in March, and then I got the cooties in New York really bad. I think I picked up every single virus that every single person I ran into had. So I came home, I was a complete mess, really, for almost 3 weeks. But, I'm better, and I got over it. And, there's a lot of thought behind when you get sick and you have fevers and you have a cough, and it's all part of your body getting stronger. You just, running for all this medication that kills you ultimately and destroys your liver and kidneys, it's probably not the answer. Just getting over this stuff is really, right. It's really what makes you stronger, just like measles and chicken pox and all the things that the women in the 50s and 60s and 70s were trying to run away from. Mm-hmm. You have to sometimes look at this stuff and say, well, how did this get started? How did this psychological terrorism get started in the minds of mamas, of women? Mm-hmm. And I even go back to when I was breastfeeding my own daughter, and my mother came into the room and she said, "Don't you feel like a cow?" I was like, what? Right. This is nature. How did they convince you that it was demeaning and it was taxing you in some way that you didn't need to do this anymore? And, my mother smoked cigarettes all through her pregnancies. And, you got to wonder, how out of it they were and the doctors were. There was mass psychosis going on another level. It was the beginning of training people to trust the medical doctors, who, by the way, all the chiropractors and naturopathic physicians were on their way out, being stifled.
Right.
And Big Ag and FDA were having their heyday.
Right.
And, right. And along came all the vaccines to protect you from everything. And I can just imagine in the 30s and 40s when polio was kind of very activated, that and I think Roosevelt, he had polio.
Yeah, Roosevelt did have polio. Yeah, sure did.
Right. He was a big marker for that fear, and that admiration at the same time. And so people were dragging their kids to get these vaccines, and the beginning of the vaccines were a mess because kids were getting polio from the vaccines.
Right.
And luckily back then they stopped it. But if we move up to today, well, or even the past, let's say 20 years, because I'm not exactly sure of the dates that vaccines started picking up at such a pace that they're operating right now, but they have convinced women that these are necessary, that your kid will die if they don't have them. And I remember holding my daughter and saying, wait a minute. What was she, 8 weeks old? I don't even remember. And the doctor said, you have to come back next time and we start vaccinations. I said, what are you giving her? Oh, everybody gets this. Everybody gets this. So he shoved these papers in my hand, and I went and I sat in the lobby, and I started reading them, and I said to the receptionist, I'm just not ready for this. And I didn't know the battle that was in front of me, but it was a very interesting battle, and I think the more I fought it, the stronger I got.
Right.
Just like everything else, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like everything else. You do battle, you become a warrior. So, you know, along with all the insurrections we're in the middle of right now, along with it is the FDA and Big Pharma. It's a whole, right? Big piece of the pie. And the big piece of the pie is money. I mean, right. And control. Yeah. So, you know, we could maybe look at this and say, well, maybe 30, 40 years ago, they really thought these things were good. And they were lied to by the people that wanted to make all this money. You know, I don't want to blame particularly anybody other than the bigwigs up at the top who knew that these vaccines had troublesome ingredients in them, and that some of the studies were showing questionable results.
Right.
Well, what I really, you know, you had written a great piece on Patreon this weekend about this new drug called, I think it's called leucovorin.
Yes.
Is that what it's called?
Leucovorin, yes. Yep.
Right. And you know, you're sitting there looking at the TV, you've got Donald Trump, Kennedy Jr., Dr. Oz, and they're all sitting there saying, we have found a cure for much of the autism. And my hair went up on the back of my neck, and I was like, wait a minute, let's look at this timing right now, that all of a sudden these numbers are coming out that 1 in 30 children have autism, which is exceptionally disgusting. And all of a sudden they pop up with a pill. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, the CEO of Pfizer is standing there with them. Ding, 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 ding. What is going on here?
Right, right.
Right? And listen, for people who have kids that are too far gone, and if this can help them, apparently this only helps when you catch it at the beginning. So listen, that's fine. That's fine. I'm not judging that, and I'm not judging anyone who's desperate to have this pharmaceutical, should it be effective, and should it become something more effective. I'm all for it. However, you got to peel the onion when you hear something like this. So the first thing I was thinking of, and I was glad because Naomi Wolf came on to Bannon's show talking about this, and she said, Trump maybe has something on Pfizer or Kennedy Jr. or whoever is operating has something on Pfizer. And so they're dangling a fruit in front of them, saying, listen, we won't turn you in if you invest, what was it, 800 million or a billion, I don't remember how much money they're bringing into the United States, and reducing the drug costs, which of course is I don't know, it's a good thing. It's something Trump probably wants to achieve. And if he can turn around and control Pfizer, Interesting, right?
Right.
Get something good out of them, give something good to us. Okay, that might be a reality here. But then you've got Dr. Oz standing there and Kennedy, and it's almost as if they knew something else was going on. I'm just reading body language. I'm just like looking at these guys and thinking, what's really happening here? So, you know, as you pull back the onion, you think about, okay, so they tied in Tylenol with vaccines, the dairy industry, and folic acid.
Yep.
Okay, let's look at this for a minute. Very interesting. Tylenol, Johnson & Johnson, I would recommend anybody that really wants to understand how the FDA and Big Pharma work, Tears by Gardner Harris. It's The Dark Secrets of Johnson & Johnson. That's the name of the book. It's a big hardcover book, but frickin' fascinating to really see who was working the devil's deeds, who behind the whole industry was doing what, paying off who, how all this stuff got illegally, maybe I shouldn't use that word illegally, but how the stuff got pushed through in an unscientific manner.
Right.
Like the COVID vaccines. So, you know, Tylenol has been called out over the years a number of times. And just inside myself, this recent surgery I had, I was told I could only take Tylenol. And I started to take it because I was in excruciating pain, and I was vomiting it up. I couldn't take it. My body was just like, no, I'm not having this. And I said to myself, you know, years ago, I took codeine and it put me to sleep and it took me out of pain. I wasn't sick. I looked back and they did not put Tylenol in the codeine. It was just codeine. Aha. They're sneaking this stuff into everything. Because let's face it, they have to make their moolah. They have to make the money. This is the devil's handiwork. So now we look at the dairy industry. There's a lot. There's a lot going on there. The dairy industry is dirty, filthy, disgusting. They're feeding cows the most horrific food that's not natural. And I'm not talking about the small farmers, the ranchers, that they're trying really hard to put out of business, I might add, because they want to control what the people eat. And the dairy industry is a mess, a hairy mess. And aside from the poison that they're feeding the cows and the hormones and antibiotics, even looking at cheese that's organic, they're using enzymes in the cheeses that are nasty. And people think they're allergic to dairy. Really, they're allergic to the meth that's going into the dairy. And if people could get their hands on real raw milk from real grass-fed ranchers, they would be shocked to see they're not allergic to dairy at all. They're allergic to the meth that's going on in the dairy industry. So now we've got vaccines, we've got Tylenol and dairy, and then we have this interesting product called folic acid, which is not natural. It does occur in vegetables, but it's not a natural vitamin supplement. It's a laboratory piece of garbage. And look at your cereals and your pastas, and they add it to everything. Just saying that I've found a pasta from Italy that doesn't add any of this stuff to their pasta. And I would beg people to go into the supermarket, read the labels, make sure there's no added B vitamins, folic acid, because they're poisoning your pasta and your cereal and your breads. And they really want us to be gone. I mean, you know, if they can control the population, they get their desired outcome, which is just less people. Maybe if they eat these products, they'll go first. I don't know. I don't know. But I'm just saying that there is a picture here of a suspicious new drug that's coming out all of a sudden out of nowhere. Who made this? Who was involved in this for the past 5 years? I mean, I'm very suspicious. No conspiracies, right?
Right, exactly right, exactly right.
None. So they told us to stay out of the sun, right? The sun cures all the viruses and all the cancers and all the problems we have.
Right.
You know, they knew that in the Spanish flu back in the early 1900s. They just took the hospital beds and pushed people out on the rooftop and put them in the sun because there were no antibiotics. There was nothing to help the people. So stay out of the sun. Then they told us to avoid fat. Don't eat fat. So here are these petroleum-based oils that you should replace all your fat with.
Right.
Let's see. This is a rabbit hole, isn't it?
Yep.
I mean, we're so being, why do we trust anything these people say? We should be, look, knowledge is the only way we fight evil. That's number one. We have to look at this. We have to see these lies. We have to be cognizant of what they're writing in these articles, what they're telling us, who's writing these. You know, is it China who's making all our vitamin C? Is it the drug companies? Like, who's telling us to avoid this, take that? You know, I think we should start narrowing down everything we do and look at it. They told us don't eat fruit, too much sugar. Are you kidding me? That's how we stay hydrated. That's our natural food. That's what we should be eating more of,
right,
instead of the concocted sugar.
Right.
You know, the whole thing needs to be taken apart because it's all a lie. It's all been a lie. The medical schools, these doctors, they think it's funny. They actually think it's funny that Trump is spouting all this, don't take Tylenol. I mean, I went to my doctor 2 weeks ago when I came home from New York and I was so sick. And luckily, he looked down my throat and he said, it's a virus. I'm sorry, I can't give you anything. Thank you. You know, I needed to know that.
Right.
But I said, well, don't give me Tylenol. And he started laughing. Yeah, Trump's Tylenol, yeah. It's not funny. It's not funny at all.
No.
So, you know, who are we going to take down on this? Well, I think over the course of many years, I think that Kennedy knows the fight. I don't know if Trump knows. I seriously question him with the COVID vaccines. I question him with this stuff. I think he's just letting other people do what they need to do. And he trusts them. But he's doing the deals. He's doing the deals with Pfizer. He's doing the deals with companies. That's his thing. He's going to do the deals and make money for people. That's right. You know, if the mining is going to make money for the American people and our net worth is going to improve because of the gold standard possibly coming back, if these are the deals that have to be made in order to bring America back to some level of happiness and thriving and positivity, okay, that's his space. I get that.
Right.
But we are responsible for ourselves. I think most of us know that. I mean, you know, at this point, we get that we are responsible for making our own decisions. So all these studies that come out, and some of them are really good. I mean, well, look what's happening in England right now. It's damn scary. ID cards. What could they possibly do with ID cards besides control everything that you do?
Right.
Food, gas, drugs, vaccines, death.
Mm-hmm.
It's just gonna totally use it and you know, kill us as quickly as they can. So yeah, you know, Johnson & Johnson, I can't even begin to share with you guys. I mean, I have certain things that I put down. Asbestos. Who would have ever thought that there would be asbestos in baby powder?
Right.
Johnson & Johnson baby powder. We were all smearing it all over our babies' underarms. I didn't. I used cornstarch.
Mm-hmm.
Why did I do that? I don't know.
My mother did that. I did that. Right, with the cornstarch.
Yeah. And women were like putting it under their breasts, you know, in case they sweated armpits. And, you know, I mean, this stuff has caused more cancer than Carter has liver pills. Okay, that's an old one. Carter has liver pills.
Oh, wow, yes.
Yeah. Right, remember that?
Yep, I remember
that was an
that.
expression we used. Mm-hmm. So, here's this, there's a page that I just turned to, because this is a fat book, and it goes through really all the products Johnson & Johnson made. I think everybody would be amazed at what we took for granted, and we'd see these cute little pictures of babies, and this was like the company you could trust. And because they were in so much financial trouble from mesh linings after surgery and all the products they were finding poison in, they decided to jump on board with that COVID vaccine. Johnson & Johnson, one shot. That went down pretty quickly, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
It did, but you got to wonder why. Like, did Pfizer pay them off? Did somebody threaten them because they had so many lawsuits against them? I mean, we see what's going on here. This is the FDA big pharma deals.
Right.
And, you know, they were celebrating this collaboration between Johnson & Johnson, Merck, and the Biden administration. What could possibly go wrong with that? Okay, by the end, I'm just going to read this little section. By the end of 2019, the company, Johnson & Johnson, was facing lawsuits from nearly 18,000 women claiming that baby powder had given them cancer, with tens of thousands more to follow. At the same time, J&J was being sued by 11,000 claiming injuries from the company's hip implants, nearly 21,000 over its pelvic meshes, 11,900 over Risperdal, 29,000 because of blood thinner Xarelto, and 400 from its diabetes drug Invokana. Now, how much trouble can one company get into?
Apparently not enough.
I know. Well, apparently we're just finding out about it.
Yeah.
Through people who, this guy that wrote this book, he happened to sit down next to, say, he was working for the New York Times, doing their pharmaceutical coverage, and he sat down next to someone at an airport and just started to talk about Tylenol and all these drugs that Johnson, he was actually covering Johnson & Johnson. He had no idea this was going on.
Wow.
Okay, now here's some other stuff that is going on right in our world right now, and just stuff to be cognizant of. Canada just made death profitable, and
Yes.
the world is okay, you know where I'm going with this,
Yes, I
because
do.
you were just talking about our bodies belonging to the government.
Mm-hmm.
This couldn't be more of a picture, a shock picture. Doctors have performed the world's first heart transplant using an organ taken from a patient euthanized under its medical assistance in dying program.
Yep.
A 38-year-old man with ALS was lethally injected. 7 minutes after his heart stopped, it was restarted, flown to Pittsburgh, and placed inside another man's chest. What could possibly be going on here?
Yep. And that, again, I keep bringing up my argument, right? And I got to bring it up again, right? When you give things in utero, right? Because that's what Canada did, right? A baby in utero is a person. Well, you gave it personhood. So guess what? Just like what Val just explained to you. Now is what's even more sinister about what you said, right? Is now the country itself can engage in organ harvesting, right? I want people to really understand what Miss Val just told you. I just gave you the other end of the spectrum. You make something a person here, then hey, look, death is going to become profitable. They can force people into taking death sentences, right? A 38-year-old ALS man, they said, well, here you go. We can't pay your bills anymore. You have an option: live with it in pain or die. Right? What do you think a person's going to do when you give them the option to die? Right? They're going to do it. Again, that's coercion, right? It's coercion, right? The same way the coercion was with COVID. Well, you don't have to take the shot, but if you don't take it, you don't have a job, right? It's the same coercion and ultimatum. This is what the government of Canada is doing to people because you gave a baby in utero personhood, so they took it the other way with you, right? And then now, according to Ms. Val, they're now technically organ harvesting. They're taking that heart out, and nothing could go wrong with a heart that's stopped by lethal injection. Nothing can go wrong with sodium pentothal, right? Nothing could go wrong with that in the heart, and you're going to transport that to another person, right? Sodium pentothal is y'all go look it up.
Nasty. It's nasty.
Yeah, y'all go look up what that is, right? But to that part,
They're turning death into a commodity.
Right. Hello.
Hello.
Or as I like to say, Ms. Val, death has now become commerce.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, come on, let's go. Come on.
Look at it. Yeah. So what began as compassion is now convenience.
Yeah.
So how civilized a society are we? This is demonic. Let's face it. There's no other way to look at this. I mean, Canada, they're taking the guns away now. Why? If they don't want you to kill anybody. Oh, I see. Part 2. We'll tell you who to kill. We'll tell you when it's time to die. Okay, so here's the second and final thing I want to bring up about what we need to look at more closely, because we have been so indoctrinated into trusting the big companies and everything in our supermarkets, everything in our purview, things we have relied on for so many years and still used possibly in our homes. I myself am totally allergic to bleach, have been from the day I was born. I can't walk into anybody's house if they've cleaned with bleach. I react to it immediately. I can't get in swimming pools with chlorine. This has been my whole life. So here I am reading this article today, just today. TCE is a chlorinated solvent commonly used for degreasing metal parts and in industrial cleaning, according to the EPA. Study links mental health risks to this toxin for those born in the 60s and 70s.
Interesting.
Gee, like it sounds like bleach, right? It sounds like it. Chlorinated solvent. So where did all that solvent go? Like, what were they doing with it? And apparently Parkinson's risk, huge increase with exposure to this common chemical. It's regulated. Isn't that nice? It's regulated, except you could go buy bleach and chlorine and pour it in your pool and dump it all over your bathroom. And so how regulated is it? What if they put a good cap on the top so a kid can't break into it? Risks of liver cancer, kidney cancer, lymphoma, central nervous system. Previous research has found that TCE, when inhaled or ingested, chlorine in the water. Weren't they doing that to kill bacteria in the city water? Yeah, the fluoride.
Yes,
and
they
the
were.
and the well, yeah. So okay, so not only have we been inhaling it, ingesting it, which crosses the blood-brain barrier, causes damage. They also, apparently this person that wrote the article is aware of the fact that they were doing some research which compared patients who live close to these facilities that emit TCE were getting this Parkinson's and neurological disorders to a much greater extent than people who lived further away from them. If you needed to question these bastards anymore, oh, and here's the best one. Living near a golf course. My allergist told me never, ever, ever live with your home on a golf course. You will be poisoned to death.
Oh yeah, fertilizers. 100% fertilizers and the different things that are actually in the non-potable water that they use to water the grass on golf courses.
Exactly. And it all goes right down into the water you drink and the water you wash your clothing in. And gee, let's put some bleach in the towels so they look nicer and smell better or whatever. Dry cleaning. People, I gotta tell you, dry cleaning is one of the worst toxic places you could ever bring your clothing, unless you have like an OXO, a natural dry cleaning place. Don't do it. Don't buy anything that needs to be dry cleaned. Just forget about it. It's total poison. I'm on a poisoning kick today. Let's see. TCE is in everyday life materials, perfumes, bleh, cleaning wipes, glue, ink, soap, paper, plastics. Probably eating this crap every day. I mean, it's yes, swallowing it. So some of the things we can do, obviously, we know we need to stop using all the plastic stuff as much as we can in this crazy world we live in, but also medical grade air purifiers. I have an Allen. I researched this years and years ago, and the cancer units were using Allen air purifiers, and I have 2 of them in my house. Filtering your water, got to do it. You have no choice anymore. Get a Sentry water treatment system, put it under your kitchen sink, drink that water. Don't not filter your water with the best stuff you can afford or get. So this is what's happening in our world today. Did you look up what that stuff does to the heart?
I haven't. I didn't go through the
Oh,
whole thing.
I thought you did. But that's an interesting concept that they euthanize people with this chemical that basically stops the heart.
Right.
So
Well,
that chemical is in the heart that they transplant.
right. I mean, it's the same stuff they use with the lethal injection for the death penalty. It's the same cocktail.
That's right.
It's the
That's
same
right.
because it's no, I have to off the top of my head because it's technically it's three drugs, right? It's a sodium thiopental or
Yep.
pentobarbital, right? Which
Right.
that is the agent that puts the person to sleep. It knocks them out. It depresses their respiratory system, all that stuff, right? And then now you introduce the pancurium bromide, right, which is a muscle relaxant, right? And it sustains a paralysis of the skeletal muscles, including the diaphragm, right? So eventually that would cause death by asphyxiation, right? And then they also add potassium chloride, right, which increases the blood and cardiac concentration of potassium to stop the heart, causing cardiac arrest.
Don't they have to keep the heart beating though in order to do a transplant?
Yes. So that's the part. So what they did, right, was they did it more than likely. I have to go look at the MAID protocol. What MAID made. The MAID protocol is when it comes to if they're going to transport if the person's an organ donor, right? They take it out.
Right.
How much of this potassium chloride or potassium salt, let's just call it potassium salt, that they use to induce that cardiac arrest just enough where it doesn't shut the heart down completely, but they can still take it out after the fact because they've already depressed the system at that point, right? With the sodium pentobarbital, right?
Right.
And depress the respiratory system, and then the pancurium bromide, right, does the diaphragm, which helps with your breathing also. So it'd be interesting to see how they do that and separate that, right? Because obviously there's no pain. I mean, I guess that's a good thing if we're going to look at the silver lining.
I mean, yeah, it's enough, right?
Right.
Pain. One other thing before we wrap this up. I've been listening to Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, and she's an amazing physician, very avant-garde, and if anybody hasn't heard her, she does a show on Rumble, Dr. Sherry Tenpenny. She's amazing. She started talking the other night about this product called Zeolite, and it comes in a little liquid, it's an oral spray, and apparently it's a huge detoxifier because what we just talked about tonight, I mean, we're getting overloaded with all kinds of stuff. I wish I would have had this with me when I went to New York. It is a master detoxifier, and it alkalizes the body, and it strengthens the immune system. And it's something that you kind of use every day, and you spray it in your mouth, your throat, and it just gets all the heavy metals like out of your system. It just grabs a hold of everything and removes the toxins. So it certainly doesn't hurt in this world we're living in right now, just to stay on top of it, you know. So I just got the bottle today. It came in the UPS truck, and I'm gonna, because after getting exposed in New York, I think I also had an emotional exposure in New York to people that said, "Oh, you live in Florida? Oh, that governor you have there, he's horrible. I wouldn't live in Florida if it was the last place on earth." I said, good, would you tell that to all your friends too? Because honestly, we don't need another New Yorker in Florida. Thank you.
Thank you. Come again.
And your governor, oh, she's just spectacular. The monster Hochul. You know, and I just have to add this. The New Yorkers do not know who Curtis Sliwa is.
Wow.
That's right. And many of them are voting for, what's his name? No, not Mondami, but the ones who are not voting for Mondami are going to vote for Cuomo because they figure, well, at least it's the enemy we do know. I'm like, God, you guys. Well, what's our choice between Mondami and Cuomo?
Right.
How about the real New Yorker who took a bullet and who runs the subways and, you know, what? It's very draining to be there for me. I can't believe how stupid New Yorkers have become.
Right.
It's pathetic. And they don't care. They don't care. They just think, it'll all work itself out. It's no big deal.
Right.
Let me know how communism works for you. And jihad. Listen, you got a double whammy here. You have the jihad communist. And when you think women don't have freedom to run in Central Park now, just wait.
Mm-hmm.
Just wait. Anyway, that's what I have for today. I did most of the talking, Rod. I'm sorry.
Well,
I had to
no,
catch
you're
up
on point. I was going to let
3-4
you.
weeks.
I was going. You're on point as always. I wasn't going to interrupt that flow that you had going on there because it was good. It was good. I mean, I really didn't have anything to add, but besides the part you talked about, MAID, right? And I want people to go back and listen to that part. You know, that death is in Canada. Death has become commerce, and that's sickening upon itself. I mean, they you know, birth, right? We told them that birth is commerce, right? Because again, right, birth certificate, right? It's commerce, right? Mm-hmm. When you get married, marriage certificate, that's commerce. The death certificate is commerce. Well, what's even worse is they issue the death certificate that costs money because there's a death tax, right? There's a tax to die too, right?
Yes.
On top of that, now they're taking your organs and selling your organs, et cetera, across the world or across the country or across the continent. Like again, to your question, how evil have we gotten? Right?
It's frightening. It's frightening.
So I want all those people, right, that sat here and did all the things in the name of the state to understand how brainwashed you have been. You have been brainwashed, bleached, wiped again, reloaded, and then downloaded again at the same time.
You've been chemicalized.
Yeah, you've been chemicalized. Yeah, exactly. All in the name of dunking on your political opponents because you think it's kosher. No, it's not kosher, man. It's not
ain't
kosher.
Like a Knish in New York. It ain't like a good hot dog on the hot dog stand. No.
Right, that's right.
Yep.
That's right. Well, we're gonna roll out, Ms. Val.
Keep your eyes and ears open. You're welcome.
And I appreciate everybody listening this evening. Make sure you check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/TOLMF. Make sure you subscribe to this show, The Experience Today, not only on Rumble, but also on all the other audio podcast platforms that you can find. All the old episodes are slowly getting up there. Newer episodes are going up there too. So we'll have it all packed in nice and tight for you real soon, so you can go back and listen to previous episodes. And also, guys, also remember that you know, we are in the middle of a marketing push. You know, I'm not. I'm not. What I guess what I want to say is, if you can help, the information is on the Patreon. If you can't, you can't, but word of mouth helps because we're trying to hit that marketing goal so I can hire this marketing team that's going to really put us out there on Front Street and commercials and everything else nationwide. It's going to be a big help to us. And also we're going to see, you know, bigger things happening too. So y'all go check out the post on Patreon concerning that, et cetera, et cetera. And with that, again, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. And as I always say, love your neighbors, love your family, But ultimately, if you don't love yourself, you can't love anyone or anything else. Peace and love, everybody. Good night.